All right, y'all.
Boom.
We are back. Ready to roll.
We're back, baby.
Ready to rumble.
Whoa, that was a crazy
a
one.
lot of really exciting updates, okay? So you'll want to watch the next few episodes because a lot of really fun updates are happening, but we have to start with this. This is a responsible and fun update. We have more WearWhen bracelets coming out.
I'm trying to think of what updates, and I think I just realized what updates you're talking about. And
Let's
I'm
leave it as
excited.
a surprise.
Okay, but bracelets.
Yes.
This is
So
the good
many
one right now.
updates.
Bracelets, okay.
Bracelets first, WearWhen bracelets. They're really cool. They're really thin bracelets. All of them have a scripture on them, kind of a promise from scripture from the Lord that you can take with you and wear it on your wrist every single day. TJ's being a model right now on it. And so
Wow, Hollis
Hollis has
ripping.
too much
Sorry, I
going
don't
on. We
have
can't
fit
look at Hollis.
I have
Hollis
one.
is wearing 1800 bracelets.
I have one. Alma
There it
37,
There it is.
37.
Okay, so it's just like it's just like don't just like read your scriptures and forget about them, but wear them with you every single day. The promises of God, and you can find them at Good News Brand Co. Anything to add?
Let's go.
That's awesome.
Okay, we can't wait. So new bracelets, new colors. All the other good ones are on there as well. Welcome to This is Kingdom, a Good News Brand podcast. This is Grace.
This is Talon.
This is TJ.
This is Hollis.
I forgot the order for a second. I didn't know that was after Hollis or before.
Me too.
I don't ever know the order. I
Okay,
just go first.
This week, we are talking about the talk, The Atonement of Jesus Christ Provides the Ultimate Rescue by Elder Cook.
Okay. I heard the craziest story in church. And the guy that was telling it, I think it was his grandpa that it happened to. So it was a long time ago. And his grandpa like grew up in a really small town. And it was when he was in high school. And all his friends were like kind of like a little bit like, like kind of like a little bit of punks. Like everyone like deep down loves them, but they like cause a little bit of problems. It was like that kind of group of friends. And
Why did I just think of so many kids in my mind? I'm like, oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Exactly. Like that was like a really broad description, but you get it. And summer had just started, and it was the summer before all of their senior year. And they realized that like they could go to like the town pool and like hang out, but during the day it was slam packed full of people because everyone wanted to be at the pool. And so they started getting a little bit smarter, and they were like, wait, if we just sneak in the pool at night, then we're the only ones at the pool. And so they would go at night, and like all summer long they would sneak in, and they'd be like crazy. And they realized they could like go off the like high dive in the diving board, and they'd all like lose their minds. Like they'd do competitions. Like they brought more and more people, and like every single night they were like, as much as they could, they were going. And what happened is obviously that's trespassing, which is problematic, but it was a really small town, and they had like one cop car. And what would happen is the pool was at the bottom of a hill. And so every single night, what would happen is the cop would realize they were in the pool. They'd get like a noise complaint or whatever. And the cop would be at the top of the hill, and he wouldn't like do sirens. He'd just put lights on. And it was kind of like this bit that they would play. Like the cop would be like, here I come. And then the cop would go down the hill, but he'd go slow enough with the lights on. They're like, all the boys would like grab all their stuff, and they like jump over the like fence and then like run away and hide. And then the cop would get there and no one would be there. And then like, it was kind of like this like little like unspoken deal of like the cop was going to let them do
That's
that.
such a homie cop right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cops like that,
And then like
man.
all summer long they would do like this like little bit, like when the cop would see him, he'd be like, hey, like I'm getting some noise complaints about the pool. And they're like, yeah, like I wonder who those kids are, like who's like trespassing at the pool. And it was kind of like their bit all summer long. Like he would turn the lights on, they'd get out of the pool, they'd run away, the cop wouldn't find them, he'd catch them the next day and like make a joke about it. And they did it all summer, and finally school started again. And they were back in school, and it was the first week of school. And it was that very first weekend. And all of a sudden they started realizing like, oh, like the pool's going to close for the summer. Like we probably have like one more night of sneaking in the pool, like one last goodbye to like our like last real summer, like the beginning of senior year. Like we better go to the pool one last time. And so all of them are stoked. They're like planning it. Like they're so hyped. And they all go and they like run to the pool. They like climb over the fence. Everyone's getting ready. One of the boys like, I'm going first. Like I'm going off the high dive. And all of them are like stoked out of their minds. And they all start like getting ready to go in the pool. He's like going up on the high dive, and he like takes like 2 jumps. Like, like you like do a little baby jump and then a big jump and then you jump in the pool. He was like doing those. And right when he jumped off the high dive, he heard someone yell, and he was like, hey, the pool's been emptied for winter.
Oh.
And then all of a sudden he had this like realization that he's like, oh, like I'm like, this is it. Like I'm diving into concrete from a high dive. Like that's like what choice I just made. And as he was going down, he just started realizing like, I did this to myself. I got myself into this situation. There was no one else that forced him to do that. He jumped off the high dive. He deserved the concrete. That's what happened, is he deserved to hit the concrete. And he realized It was his choice. It was going to be his consequence. It was his fault. He got himself into that mess. That's what he deserved. And then all of a sudden he could just feel water touch his fingertips, and then he just like crashed into the water, and he couldn't even figure out what had happened. And then he like got up and he like looked through the fence, and like the cop was there just like laughing his head off, and all the boys were like losing their minds.
Oh.
And it was just, like,
My heart dropped when you said that. That's not.
Hollis is like, why are you starting with the story?
Like, it was just playing prank. But he realized that the only thing that could save him in that moment was water. And he deserved concrete, but the water was there. And the truth about us is that we believe in living water that rescues. And there are days, day after day after day, that we deserve concrete. We get ourselves into situations, we make choices that mean we deserve concrete. We got ourselves here. It's our fault. We deserve the punishment. And the unbelievable thing to me about grace is that we believe in living water. We believe in someone, the only person who is capable to rescue us. And we believe that he will rescue. Even when, like, I think that's the crazy thing about rescue. And that's why it reminds me of that story, is because usually I'd say 90% of the time when you need a rescue, you don't deserve it. You didn't do anything to deserve a rescue. And that is the most beautiful part of the rescuer we believe in, is he saves us even when we don't deserve it. That's grace.
It just got me thinking about when we make mistakes in our lives. And I have these so often. Like, I can think of multiple times this week that I got frustrated about something that I didn't need to, or I got mad when I didn't need to, you know? And when you make a mistake, I feel like you have a couple of options. One of the ways that I feel like I'm naturally pulled is that I'm like, I deserve punishment. I'm like, I deserve bad. I deserve, you know what I mean? Like, I deserve to pay for this. And I'll like get into this rut where I just beat up on myself, and I get mad and I get frustrated. And I think one of the most beautiful things that can happen with Jesus is, instead of beating up on ourselves, instead of saying, I deserve all this crap, recognizing that we deserve it, reaching out to him and just being filled with gratitude. And I actually feel like the more that I do that, the more that I come to love and appreciate Jesus, when I fully recognize that I do deserve bad because I did bad, you know? But looking to him and understanding what he came to do and letting him do his job. Nothing fills me with more gratitude for Jesus than those moments.
I love what you just said, how when we let Christ do his job. I feel like sometimes we don't let him. Like, there's been so many times where I've not let Christ into my life, and I'll continue to recognize a lot. I'm doing bad. I deserve this, but not opening the door for Christ to do his work when he already has done it. I think that's such a huge distinction that I want to point out, is when we let Christ in, that's when that magic happens. That's so cool.
Can I share a little story about how Jesus rescued me?
Yeah, that's
One
so
time.
cool.
Of course.
So, it's funny. I actually told you guys this story when we were on the car ride. No, I
Oh.
told you and
Our OG car ride?
Yes.
The one to Mexico? Whoa.
Yeah. Hollis wasn't there yet. He was there in spirit. Maybe Grace wasn't. No, I think Grace was there. Anyway, story. So this was a time after college, and I was in a good job. I was teaching already, and I was still like feeling lost. I was like feeling kind of aimless, you know, and I was just in that young adult stage with the dating, and sometimes it's cool and sometimes it's whack, and just trying to figure out what I'm doing with my life. And I just remember feeling kind of distanced from God. Like I felt like he wasn't really there, and I felt like he didn't really want to be there, and it was tough. And I remember going into the scriptures one day and came across the story, speaking of water, living water, coming across the story of Jesus in the boat with the disciples, right? When there's the winds and the waves. And I started reading about it. I'm like, oh man, my life feels like that. Got some winds and waves going on. And then the disciples are freaking out, and he calms the storm. And I just had like a little thought, like, wow, maybe Jesus can kind of calm this storm. Maybe he can kind of calm the winds and waves. And I kind of had a good little study, and then I just kind of got up and went about my day. Then a few days later, my buddy hit me up to come help him. He was starting like a fitness brand, like fitness community, and he had me in this ad. And so I met a bunch of people, and then there was this girl.
TJ was a model, basically. That's what he was saying.
No, I
That's
was
what
like
he
in the
said.
background. I was like waving stuff and helping with the lights. And there was this girl with a tattoo with a boat on her shoulder, and I was like, "Hey, that's a cool tattoo. What does that mean?" I don't know if she just like boating or something, like who gets a boat? Like, I don't know. And I asked her and she's like, oh, it's that Bible story with Jesus in the boat with his disciples when there's the winds and the waves and he calms the sea. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Cause I just read it a couple days ago. And then I forget about a few days go by and I'm out and about and I come home at night and I walk up to my door and I had been heart attacked. Got the notes, got the hearts, got all the nice little things. It
We
was from
love
some
all the
friends
heart
from-
attackers out there. We
Yeah,
love them all.
man. Yeah, and it was some friends from church and I loved it and it was so cool, especially since I was going through this tough time. But this one friend who didn't know anything about these other experiences, they had this card and it was a picture of Peter. And on the back, they wrote something along the lines of, I know that life sometimes can feel stormy, but I want you to know and I want you to remember that Jesus Christ can calm the winds and the waves around you and inside you. And once I read that, man, I was bawling. I was bawling on the doorstep, man, because, they didn't know about me finding the scriptures and they didn't know about me meeting the girl and talking about that. And they didn't know that this message was so important for me at the time, but God did. And I just felt like that was him rescuing me. That was him reminding me that he was there. And I don't know, anyone listening, I hope that you will continue to experience him rescuing you. And I'd also just encourage, like, think about the times when he's rescued you, man. Think about the times when he's been there. It's important.
Well, and I think that there's a level of us, at least for me, I think this has been the case a lot, that we don't feel like we deserve to be rescued. That we'll hear TJ say a story like that and we think, Jesus won't show up like that for me. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve him to be good to me. I've done too many wrong things. I'm too far gone. I've made too many bad choices. I've got myself here. This is what I deserve. And it just reminds me, like, if you're thinking that right now, I just think there's something really powerful in looking at who Jesus is and who he always has been. And when you look at the story of Jesus, that is who he has been from the very beginning. I think you look at the story of the last week of his life, even how he got himself to death. And there's actually an ancient tradition that on that certain day, they would take all the prisoners that were set to die and they would choose one to release and to like give mercy and to give grace to. And they had two prisoners that they brought out, and one was Jesus and one was Barabbas. And Barabbas was an awful criminal, like one of the worst you could ever possibly imagine, someone that had done everything to deserve his punishment. And then there was Jesus, an innocent man. And what happened that day is Barabbas was set free and Jesus took the punishment. Jesus chose to rescue. Even in that very last moment, Jesus chose the rescue. He chose to rescue someone that the majority of the world would see as someone who didn't deserve it, but that's not how Jesus sees us. When Jesus sees us in all of the disaster that we find ourselves in, he says, what can I do to help? How can I rescue them? He will run to the rescue. That's who he is.
One of my biggest pet peeves is when there's something that I know that I'm good at and somebody doubts me in it. Like I know that I will pull through on this one thing. Someone's like, are you going to really do it? Are you really going to make it happen? I'm like, yeah, like it bugs me so bad. And this is not doctrine. This is talon doctrine right now. I wonder if Christ feels that at times, that we convince ourselves that he is not capable of rescuing us. He is not good enough. He can't go that far. He can't go that low. And I wonder if a little part of him is like, what you talking about? Like, do you know who I am? Do you know what I'm capable of? Do you know how good I am? There is not a soul that I cannot rescue. That's what Christ is telling us. It's not about our goodness. It's not about what we deserve. It's about how good he is. And so to everyone listening, I hope you just keep looking for him, keep reaching out, keep trusting him.
There is no distance that cannot be covered over and over. You're not defenseless. I'll be your shelter, I'll be your armor. I hear you whisper underneath your breath. I hear your SOS, your SOS. I will send out an army to find you in the middle of the darkest night. It's true, I will rescue you. I never stop marching to reach you. In the middle of the hardest fight, it's true, I will rescue you. Oh, I will rescue you.
See you next week.